Good morning and welcome to the show, and thanks for waking up with us today. Today we're waking up with Vonda Gaynor, otherwise known as Vonda the Coupon Queen. Welcome back to the show, my friend.
Ron.
Always good to see you, and always good to pick your brain on money-saving tips.
Yes.
What is cooking out there? What are the big money-saving tips we have today?
For the month of March, the viewers need to stock up on everything that pertains to being outside. Gardening, plants, and baking items, spices. I mean, all kinds of good fun stuff.
Well, I can see the plants and things going on sale because now's the time to start thinking about planting and watering your lawn and doing all that yard work. But spices.
Spices, baking mixes, hams, any type of pork products, well, because of Easter, and certain vegetables, so that's where the spices come in.
Yeah, okay, because I was thinking pork is seasonal, but I guess it is,
Yeah, a lot of people buy hams for Easter.
Sure they do.
And spices will not go on sale again until December, the month of December. Spices will not be any lower than they are right now for the month of March.
So now is the time.
Now is the time to stock up on everything that it pertains, all of the basic staple items that you use in the kitchen. This is the month.
Now, are we clipping coupons for that, or are they just
you don't
naturally
even need
low?
Coupons, but they do put coupons out, but they're all naturally low across the board. So, and if you're into planning, now's the time to get the plants.
Well, that's amazing to me because I never even thought that spices would have a season.
They do.
You know, or spices would have a season. Did you hear what I just said? Do you see what I did there? Spices.
Stand up for Don.
And ham. Well, the ham thing I sort of kind of get because of the holiday.
Yes.
But, you know, all those other things are just amazing to me.
Yeah, and like flour, for instance, one basic thing like flour. Flour only goes on sale two times a year, March and December. That's it. So now is the time for everybody to stock up. And if you love being outside, everything is going to be lower.
So if I'm going to go out and buy a new rake, now's the time.
Now is the time. Everything for gardening.
Okay, and do you have to go to any particular store, or
No.
all of the stores are
All
having
of
sales?
the stores. And spring cleaning, all cleaning supplies. Everything. Window cleaners, everything. All-purpose cleaners, Lysol, Clorox bleach, everything is on sale for the month of March.
So I guess manufacturers and retailers expect a spike in sales this time of year on certain items, so they lower their prices so they can make money with volume.
Yes. And also, the final tip, because all of these items are on sale, the retailers, they're going to have to get rid of these items. So at the end of March, they can expect even lower prices.
Oh.
Yes, because the summer products will start coming out. They have to be on the shelves in April.
So buy my lawn tools end of March-ish.
Yes.
And I'll be in pretty good shape that way. I'll be ready for the season.
Yes.
And buy my seasonings.
Yes, you'll be ready.
Now, but the same doesn't hold true for seasonings, though. The seasonings are just a...
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so they're not going to get any cheaper than they are now?
No.
Okay.
This is going to be it.
And that's any supermarket?
Any supermarket, any retailer. They're going to all have discounted prices.
Because I know you have favorite stores where you like to go, and you've shared some of those with us, but this is across-the-board savings.
Across the board. But Dollar General will be the end of the month. That's the one.
Yeah.
Because they always have additional sales.
Oh, you know, we're excited. We're getting a Dollar General up in Southport.
I know.
So yeah, it's a.
I got to get with Karen.
Yeah, you do. You got to, because I can't wait for that little mini thing to open
Yeah,
up
that's
there
going to be awesome.
Yeah, we're looking forward to all that. Oh, Vonda Gaynor, Vonda the Coupon Queen, always valuable information from you. And remember, it is the season for discounts on spices. And we'll be right back after your Waking Up with Don weather over here. Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Laura Nelson from A-List Accounting. We're going to get some helpful tips that'll help you be more efficient in your business. Laura, you just don't do accounting apparently. I get these little updates from you occasionally. Is it weekly that you send those out, or
every couple of weeks?
Every couple of weeks I'll get a little tip on how to improve my business. And you do this for all of your clients.
Yes.
And maybe just some special friends too, who knows. But the tip that you gave us recently was how to influence your business, or how to improve your business with word of mouth.
Yes.
Which seems pretty elementary to a lot of people,
Right,
I suppose.
right.
But
Well, ideally, you get out and you network. You know, you go to different events and so forth. But as you start getting referrals in, you try to narrow down where those referrals are coming from and what type of referrals are coming in between client, you know, the type of business, just say. So if it's all attorneys, dog groomers, you know, then you might want to focus in on those specific types.
But marketing, you still have to do marketing and advertising and social media and all that other stuff. Do you find there's maybe an over-reliance on social media as opposed to maybe the good old-fashioned shoe leather of, knocking on doors and glad-handing people?
Yeah, because you're not building a relationship with those people. I mean, you're answering questions or you're making posts, you're getting yourself out there in terms of name recognition, but you're not getting, that personal connection. Yeah.
Well, it's like you can only learn so much about a person from maybe a newspaper ad.
Exactly.
Or a TV commercial. Now, of course, you can learn a lot about a person on the Don Show if you'd like to advertise here, because we get to see your bedside manner, what type of person you are, and all that stuff.
Correct.
Shameless self-promotion going on here. But, after all, it's all about humans, and it really is about relationships in the final equation.
Correct.
Because that's all business is.
Right. Because you got to be that trusted advisor, you got to be that trusted person they rely on, more or less, and you don't learn that from just your normal online tweets and
And you have to build that personal reputation for reliability, dependability, and value.
Correct.
I just made that up. How about that? we got to run off to a break, but on the other side of that, let's explore this a little bit more. Maybe talk about some of the other things that you do to get people smart about business.
Okay.
And we'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back to the show. I'm here yucking it up with my accountant, Laura Nelson from A-List Accounting. Laura, we always have a good time when you come on the show. But we were talking about networking and good old-fashioned shoe leather when it comes to influencing others about your business. I mean, it's all about word of mouth and personal relationships. And like we said in the previous segment, there's an over-reliance on technology, I think. That tweet isn't going to make your sale.
No. It gets your name out there, name recognition, branding, and which is good. I mean, it works, but it's just not quite as, I think, beneficial as actually getting to know the people you are working with, or especially service industry. Product industry, those avenues do work, because you can see a picture of your product, but as far as like your service, I mean, it's a little different when you got to actually advertise it on there. You have to
be able to demonstrate that you bring value to someone's business. And just like you send out your emails, I read them. And so it's like, this brings value. And some are good, some not so much for me. But 90% of the time it's like, this is valuable piece of information. And and again, there's no substitute for that personal relationship. Although this is just an email, it comes from you. Hey, here's a tip, which is kind of good. But I get to see you every so often too, which a lot of businesses, particularly in the financial industry and service industry, they build on that, that personal spot. Now, the tease before the break is that you also give lessons and classes in QuickBooks as well. So you're kind of an educator as well.
Yes. Yeah. At the corporate college, we have classes coming up where we do basic QuickBooks, online, just basic overview of how to use QuickBooks online. 7-hour class, all day pretty much.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then we have managing revenue, which is a 4-hour class, which goes into QuickBooks and how people kind of tend to mess up their revenue when they're posting it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I know a guy who did that once. Anyway, so if we want to find out more about how to get in one of your classes, how do we do that?
Probably the best thing is to go to corporate college, Gulf Coast State College and corporate college
Just Google
area.
that up, huh?
Yeah. And it's actually a class you'd register for under them. And
all right, sounds good.
Yeah.
Laura Nelson, A-List Accounting, thanks again for coming on the show and getting us smart about our financial lives and our businesses. And we'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Heather Noyes from Raymond James Financial. And we're going to get some tips and maybe some definitions on some investments that I don't totally understand, like annuities.
Yeah, well, we've talked a little about some ways to make your money more tax efficient, and you still have time to throw money into the IRAs still for the previous year, but to kind of get things going for 2015 and beyond, there are some other vehicles you can use to help get some tax deferral or at least some kind of tax benefits anyway.
Okay, and what are some of those things?
Well, you mentioned some complex things like annuities.
I told you I didn't understand that.
They are, and they can be very confusing because there's many different types of annuities. And the biggest thing that's similar across all annuities is that they provide tax deferral. So whatever money you put into it, any growth that you get on that money, you don't have to pay taxes on that money, not until you start pulling it out. And then you'll pay taxes on your interest first.
So what's the difference between that and, say, maybe like a Roth, which sounds kind of similar in that respect?
Well, no limitations on what money, the amount of money that you could put into an annuity versus your Roth. You're going to have about a $6,500 limit per year of what you can actually put into it. So if you've got a larger sum of money, you know, you take care of funding the IRA, but then you can step out over here and put some more money to work that's deferred.
Yeah, so and you said there were 4 different types of annuities. So
where do we start?
What do we
we'll start
start
with the most simple and then kind of work up from there. So
Okay.
the first one is really just what's called an immediate annuity, which you said my dad, you mentioned your dad has an annuity, and this may be what he has. An immediate annuity is actually something where you put money in, and in return, the insurance company basically does a trade-off and gives you a set payment that you can't outlive for the rest of your life. Now you
cannot
lose that,
outlive,
right?
okay.
You lose that money though. It's a trade-off. So you give the insurance company this money, and then they pay you based upon your life expectancy.
So you
for
give them a
as long
lump
as you live.
sum, they take your money, but then they pay
It's a pension, right?
So it's like a secondary pension you might want to
Exactly.
create.
And depending on how long you live, you know, it could work out, you know, much better for your benefit, or sometimes they continue to the spouse as well. So
What happened could you ever be in a situation where they would pay out more than you gave them?
absolutely. That's
All
the
right.
that's kind of the you know, the gamble there, if you will, for lack of a better word.
Well,
Gamble there is
he
the-
is 88 years old, so
hey,
he probably
so he was winning. He's winning if that's the annuity he got, for sure.
It sounds that way.
Yeah, and they base it off of life expectancy. So if they think, you know, male's going to live to 78 or 80, then that's kind of how they're going to price it. So if they live past that, then yes, they're getting into the pocket.
So if you beat the actuarials, you're
Exactly.
golden. So that might be something if you expect to live forever, like I do.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And what are some of the other annuities?
The next up the line would be just what's called a fixed annuity. So it's going to pay a fixed rate of interest, and that varies from company to company. Traditionally, the terms are anywhere between 5 and maybe 10 years would be like the maximum term that they pay you. Again, it's just a set predetermined rate. Now, some of these fixed annuities will give you a teaser rate at the beginning, like, oh, the first year or 2 or 3 years will pay you 3%, but then after that, it just depends on where the interest rate environment is, and that can be much lower, but you're still locked in for 7 or 10 years. So those are based off the rate that they pay. Right now, most of them are in that 2% range. So
Doesn't sound like a very good deal.
It doesn't. I mean, because again, they're based off of what the current interest rate environment is.
Which is pretty low right now.
Right. And the Fed, so if the Fed begins raising rates, you may see that increase in those, the rates that they're paying on the fixed annuities. But on the other side of that, there's no downside, there's no fluctuation anyway to the downside on those. But again, yeah, the rates kind of stink.
Yeah, that's crazy stuff. The whole annuity thing
Right.
has been a mystery to me. Now, if we wanted to learn more about annuities, we could probably give you a call, I would
absolutely.
imagine, or clickety-click around on the internet and try and read up about it. But it really is a full-time job to manage your money. And
Absolutely, it is.
I mean, if you have any assets, if you've done anything right with your life, you've got to handle that money somehow. And if you're busy working, unless you work in the financial industry,
Right.
you need somebody to do that for you, don't
Sure,
you?
absolutely. And we could talk a little, you know, maybe next time go over some of the more complex. There's a few others that actually have a better return, if you will, that we can discuss maybe the next time.
All right, well, Heather Noyes from Raymond James Financial, thank you so much for coming on the show and further confusing and confounding me about annuities. But no, actually, you did clear it up for me. And, of course, we could always give you a call.
All right. Thank you.
All right. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Dan Hines from Dan Hines Coaching. And today we're going to talk about Roth IRAs and traditional IRAs.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, and before we get started, though, you've got an event coming up this Saturday, right?
Yes, so this Saturday, we're going to have an event. It's going to be about budgeting. So in 1 hour, I'm going to teach you how to budget. Because when it comes to Roth IRAs or emergency funds or trying to get out of debt, the absolute first thing you have to do is to start budgeting. Because it's a plan to know where your money's going. And if you know where it's going, you can start to change directions for it.
So you have to apportion your money properly, and if you want to get into a Roth or a traditional IRA,
then I'll teach you how.
You'll show us how to do all those little tactics.
Absolutely.
But this Saturday, at what time?
It's going to be 11 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, and where's it happening?
We're looking for a place at the FSU campus, and that's where we're going to be.
Okay, so we just go out to your website and we'll find out.
Absolutely.
So Dan's Hines Coaching on Facebook, or
and my website,
fixingfamilyfinances.com.
You got it, yep. So fixingfamilyfinances.com. That'll be the website for any changes if anything happens last minute.
Now, Roth and traditional IRAs. I mean, if you're not a very sophisticated investor like me, you just say, I got this money, I think I'll just put it in an IRA. And case closed.
Well, not necessarily.
But there's a different flavor of IRA out there that might be helpful for some people.
Right. So the difference between a Roth IRA and a traditional IRA is how you get taxed. So when I think about an IRA, I think about a bubble. And so whenever you put money into the bubble or take it out, there's a set of tax rules that you want to think about. So with a traditional IRA, it was started back in the 70s, and so when you put money in, you don't pay any income taxes, which is great because it helps you pay less income taxes over the course of a year. But when you retire and you take money out of that account, then you have to pay your income taxes.
So it becomes taxable income when you take money out of that IRA.
When you take it out.
When you retire someday.
Absolutely.
And I guess the theory is you're not earning as much when you're old and gray, and you won't be taxed as much on the money.
So if you think that you're going to have a lower tax bracket, or and I mean depending on what income taxes are during your retirement, that could be a strategy. And so if you really, really need to save the money now, it could be a good idea.
So now with the Roth, that bubble's a little different, isn't it?
It's the opposite. Yeah, so it's the same bubble, but when you put money in, you've paid your income taxes. So it's almost like putting your money into a savings account.
So that's post-tax money.
Yes, it's after-tax money, absolutely.
So there's really no tax advantage up front
Correct.
to putting money into a Roth IRA.
Correct. But when you take money out of the Roth IRA, then you don't pay taxes because you've already paid them when you put it in.
Okay.
It could be good. And especially for younger folks is that, if you put money into this account for 30, 40 years, once it becomes $2-3 million and you retire, you can take that money as much as you want whenever you want, and it's all tax-free.
Well, that's a good. Now, are there other features to a Roth that you can that would be attractive to some people?
It could be. With a Roth IRA, there are very few exceptions, but they're there that if you need money and you want it tax-free, there are some advantages to if you're, say, a first-time home buyer, or if medical bills are really eating you up, you can start to take money out and pay less taxes on it. And then there are other exceptions, but they're far and few between. So when you're putting money into a retirement account, really consider it to be retirement. Don't think about touching it until you're 60 years old.
So even with a Roth, you really shouldn't consider it an emergency fund.
Correct. But there are educational advantages as well. So if maybe you're starting a Roth IRA for a child and you're going to use it for college, there are some exceptions there that you can think about. And that's where you really want to either call me up or talk to a financial advisor or your accountant to say, okay, here's what I'm thinking about doing. Tell me if I'm doing something wrong.
Can you take money out of a Roth anytime, or do you have to wait till retirement age?
You can take money out of a Roth almost any time as long as you haven't earned any money on it. So let's say you put in $5,000 and next year it grows to $6,000. You can take that $5,000 out tax-free because it's money you put in and you didn't pay any taxes on it in the first place, or you paid taxes already on it. But that extra $1,000, that earnings, that could be taxed when you take it back out.
So how will you do you determine whether or not you need a Roth or an IRA?
That's a good question. It really depends on your situation. It could be where if you are in the 25% tax bracket and you only need $1,000 to get down into the 15% tax bracket, then maybe you put a little bit into a traditional to help you save money on taxes. That could be a possibility. But it also depends on how much you make in a year. Is that there are limits. Is if you make too much money, you can't put any money into these accounts. Or you might not get the same tax benefits as well.
FixingFamilyFinances.com is where we need to go to find out
Yes,
more
sir.
about your event this Saturday.
Yep.
And to learn more about fixing your family finances.
Very good. Thank you,
Dan
Don.
Hines Coaching, thanks so much for that. And we'll see you next time.